Lisa Martinez thought justice had been served. Her ex-husband Roberto was supposed to be locked away behind steel bars for another 8 years. 12 years total for federal crimes that destroyed not just their marriage, but her entire life. But on a scorching afternoon in Austin, Texas, standing outside a family restaurant, Lisa saw something that shattered everything she believed about closure, about consequences, about the system that promised to protect her. Because sometimes the people who destroy your life don't stay buried in the past. Sometimes they rebuild while you're still picking up the pieces. And sometimes discovering that truth sets in motion events that no one sees coming. Welcome to Shadows by Barry. Before we dive into the story, I want you to imagine something. What would you do if you discovered that the person who betrayed your entire family was living happily with a new family, as if nothing had ever happened? This case shows us how one moment of recognition can trigger a chain of events that changes multiple lives forever. It's about the weight of secrets, the complexity of justice, and whether moving on is the same thing as letting go. So settle in, because this story will challenge your assumptions about right and wrong. Lisa Hernandez met Roberto Martinez in 2004 at her cousin's quinceañera in San Antonio. She was 22, working 2 jobs, saving for nursing school. Roberto was a mechanic, quiet, thoughtful, with a way of listening that made you feel special. Their first date was coffee at IHOP after her evening shift. They talked until sunrise about dreams, family, the future. Roberto remembered everything. How she took her coffee, that she'd never traveled outside Texas, that she wanted to become a pediatric nurse. They married exactly 1 year later at San Fernando Cathedral. Nothing fancy. Lisa wore her mother's dress. Roberto wore a rented tux. Their first apartment was tiny, but they made a home with string lights and second-hand furniture. For 7 years, life was simple but good. Roberto worked at the garage. Lisa finished nursing school. They talked about buying a house, starting a family. Roberto brought her flowers on random Tuesdays, held her hand during scary movies, helped with dinner dishes every night. Lisa trusted him completely. When Roberto said he was working late, she never questioned it. When he started talking about his own business, she offered to help with paperwork. She had no idea that her complete trust was exactly what Roberto was counting on. Because while Lisa was planning their 7th anniversary dinner, Roberto was planning something that would destroy everything they'd built together. The call came on a Tuesday morning in March 2012. FBI Special Agent Sarah Chin needed to speak with Lisa about financial irregularities associated with her Social Security number. Lisa's first thought was simple identity theft. Someone had stolen her information, opened credit cards. Annoying but fixable. She was wrong. Agent Chin explained that Lisa's name, Social Security number, and address had been used to open 17 different bank accounts across 3 states. Her information was part of a sophisticated identity theft ring operating for over 3 years. Mrs. Martinez. Whoever did this had access to very personal information about you. Your mother's maiden name, your first pet, your elementary school. This looks like someone close to you. Lisa's hand started shaking. The only person who knows all that is Roberto. When the FBI searched their apartment, they found everything hidden in Roberto's toolbox. Blank Social Security cards, a laminating machine, fake ID software, and a notebook in Roberto's handwriting containing personal information of 23 people. Lisa's information was on the first page with notes. Trustworthy, won't ask questions. Never checks bank statements. Perfect credit score. Roberto hadn't just stolen her identity. He'd been studying her, using her trust as a weapon. But it got worse. Roberto had been running what the FBI called a sophisticated identity manufacturing operation, selling new identities to immigrants and criminals. And he'd been using Lisa as his unwitting cover. Her sister's information was stolen. Her cousin's identity sold to someone in Houston. Her uncle's Social Security number was being used by a stranger in Phoenix. Roberto had systematically destroyed the financial security of everyone she loved, with a smile on his face and "I love you" on his lips every night. When they arrested Roberto, Lisa was at work giving vaccines to toddlers. She came home to yellow tape on her door and a business card. "Call me. You're going to need a lawyer." The man she'd loved for 7 years had never existed at all. The federal courthouse became Lisa's second home for 18 months. Roberto's arrest made local news, and Lisa's name appeared in every article next to his mugshot. The comments were brutal. She had to know. Wives always know. She's just as guilty. Lisa lost her job 3 days after Roberto's arrest. Her landlord wanted him out. The bank froze all accounts, including Lisa's individual account from before marriage. Her credit score plummeted overnight. Federal prosecutors spent 8 months investigating whether Lisa had knowingly participated. They analyzed every phone call, text, email. They interviewed everyone she knew. "The problem," Agent Shin explained, "is that you were too perfect of a cover. Your behavior was so consistent with someone who knew what was happening that it's hard to prove you didn't know." Lisa's own sister stopped speaking to her. "How could you not know? He was your husband." While Lisa fought to clear her name with a lawyer she couldn't afford, Roberto refused to cooperate with investigators. But he did accept a plea deal: 12 years in federal prison instead of 25, in exchange for a confession and restitution. 12 years for destroying 23 lives. At Roberto's sentencing, Lisa read a victim impact statement. "Your Honor, Roberto Martinez didn't just steal identities. He stole lives. He stole my ability to trust, my family's security, my career. He stole 7 years of my life and made them into a foundation built on lies." Roberto never looked at her. Not once. The divorce was finalized in December 2013. Prosecutors closed their investigation into Lisa in March 2014. Insufficient evidence to support criminal charges. But clearing her name legally didn't repair the damage. Lisa Martinez, victim, had become Lisa Martinez, the woman who must have known. In June 2014, Lisa packed everything into a U-Haul and drove to Houston. New city, new life. Her first apartment was tiny, but it was hers. She found work at a community health clinic after 27 rejections. Dr. Williams, a director, believed in second chances. "You were a victim. I'm not going to punish you for someone else's crimes." Lisa threw herself into work, started therapy, slowly rebuilt her credit and her life. She didn't date, couldn't imagine trusting someone again. Roberto became someone she thought about less and less. In her mind, Roberto was serving 12 years at Beaumont Federal Prison until 2024. The math was simple. What Lisa didn't know was that federal inmates earn good time credits. Roberto had been a model prisoner. His 12-year sentence became 9 years. On March 15, 2021, Roberto Martinez walked free. Lisa never received notification. The system had forgotten she existed. For 3 years, Roberto lived free while Lisa believed he was still in prison. Fast forward to March 18, 2024. Lisa was in Austin for a medical conference with co-workers. On their last day, they decided to try a local barbecue restaurant. They were waiting for a table when Lisa saw him, Roberto Martinez, supposed federal inmate, standing 30 feet away, holding hands with a woman she'd never seen, watching 2 young children play on the restaurant playground. He looked different, older, healthier, wearing expensive clothes. But it was definitely him, Roberto Martinez. Free, happy, playing father to children who weren't his. Lisa felt the world tilt sideways. She made an excuse and fled to the parking lot, hands shaking, mind racing. Roberto was supposed to be in prison until 2024. Instead, he was here, living domestic bliss with a new family. The next morning, Lisa drove back to the restaurant and waited. At 11:30 a.m., the same silver SUV arrived. Roberto got out, opened the passenger door for the woman, young, pretty, genuinely happy. 2 children raced toward the entrance. "Walk, don't run." Roberto called after them. Lisa watched them disappear inside, a perfect little family going for Sunday brunch. Roberto Martinez had everything he'd once promised her. While Lisa spent 13 years healing, Roberto had moved on to create a new life built on what looked like genuine happiness. But as Lisa drove to the airport, something began to grow alongside her shock. Questions. How long had he been out? Did this woman know who he really was? Was Roberto violating his release terms? By the time her plane landed in Houston, Lisa had made a decision that would change everything. Lisa didn't sleep that night. Instead, she began an investigation that would consume 3 weeks of her life. First, she called victim services. They couldn't find her file. Your case was transferred several times, they explained. The system had simply forgotten about her. Lisa hired private investigator David Park. Give me a week, he said. If he's using his real name, I'll find him. Park found Roberto in 3 days. He was living in Cedar Park, Texas, under his real name, working as a service manager at a Honda dealership. He'd married Jessica Torres Martinez in June 2022. The children, Lucas and Sophia, were Jessica's from a previous relationship, but Roberto had legally adopted them. On paper, Roberto looked like a model citizen and devoted family man. But there were problems. Roberto was required to notify his parole officer of any changes in employment, residence, or relationships. He was also required to disclose his criminal history to romantic partners. Roberto had violated every single term. Park found Jessica's social media accounts. Her posts painted Roberto as a hard-working single dad who'd overcome family trauma. There was no mention of federal prison or identity theft. Finally found my person, Jessica had written when they got engaged. He's been through some hard times, but that just makes him appreciate the good things more. Jessica Torres Martinez had no idea she was married to a federal felon. Lisa stared at photos of Roberto teaching Lucas to ride a bike, dancing with Sophia at a father-daughter event, honeymooning with Jessica in Cancun. The life he was living looked exactly like the life he'd once promised her. Lisa spent a weekend wrestling with an impossible decision. She could walk away, let Roberto continue his lie, or she could act. On Monday, she called retired Agent Chun, who confirmed that Roberto's parole violations meant a return to prison. 5 years minimum, maybe more. What about his new family? Lisa asked. That's not your responsibility. Chun replied. Roberto made the choice to lie, but it didn't feel simple. On April 9th, 2024, Lisa contacted the U.S. Attorney's Office and reported Roberto's violations. The investigation moved quickly. Roberto was arrested at work on Friday. Jessica learned the truth from a federal agent that evening while her children did homework. Local news covered the story. Jessica filed for divorce the same month. Roberto Martinez was sentenced to 5 years, 3 remaining from his original sentence, plus 2 for violations. Lisa Martinez finally had justice, but justice didn't feel the way she'd expected. Today, Roberto Martinez is serving 5 years at a federal facility in Louisiana. His earliest release is April 2029. He'll be 51. Jessica Torres Martinez moved back to San Antonio with her children, returned to her maiden name, never remarried. Lisa still works at the Houston clinic, now supervising other nurses. Last year, she started dating a teacher named Michael who knows her whole story and loves her anyway. This case raises uncomfortable questions about justice and redemption. Was Lisa right to report Roberto? Or should she have let him continue building a life with people who loved him? Roberto served his time and was trying to build a legitimate life, be a good father. But he built that life on lies, deceived Jessica about his past, violated his release terms, showed no accountability to his victims. Jessica and the children lost a husband and father because of Roberto's choices, not Lisa's. But they also lived for years with a lie that could have continued forever. There are no easy answers, but there are lessons. First, about systems. Victim notification systems failed Lisa completely. Victims have rights, but those rights are meaningless if systems don't protect them. Second, about consequences. Roberto thought he could escape the consequences of his actions by serving time and moving away. But consequences follow us, shape us, define our choices long after we think we've moved on. Finally, about victims. Lisa spent 13 years rebuilding from Roberto's destruction. She didn't owe him forgiveness, silence, or the chance to forget while she still lived with the consequences. Justice isn't always clean or fair to everyone. But sometimes justice is simply the truth being told, regardless of who gets hurt. Lisa Martinez told the truth. Everything that happened after was simply the price of Roberto's choices catching up with him. What do you think? Was Lisa right to report Roberto, or should she have let him continue his new life? How do we balance justice for victims with redemption for perpetrators? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. This case challenges everything we think we know about forgiveness, second chances, and the true meaning of justice. If this story made you think, please like and subscribe. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.